This is page 79 in our notes. We're working on standards SP 3 and 4, and we're actually going to put this dot plot into our notes. Number of times 6th graders have been to the zoo, and then the total number of visits, anywhere from 0 to 10 visits. And then we're going to answer some questions about the mean, median, mode, and then I added the range. So we're going to kind of put this into our notes here on page 79. So this one says, the title says, I'm going to call it number of times 6th graders have been to the zoo. And I'm going to trace, I'll come down 2 lines here and I'll start right here and I'll go over to there. And we'll go from 0 to 10. That way right in the middle or somewhere in the middle is 5. And then we got to try to evenly space our 1, 2, 3, and 4. 6, 7, 8, and 9. The down here, the label is total number of zoo visits. And then I'll put the dots in. I'll actually use black for the dots. So I'll try to make the dots like this. 0 has 1, so it's in between that and the blue line. This one has 1 in between that and the blue line. 2. 5 has 2, so the first one will be in between them. And then I'll put the next one right above the blue line. 7 has 2, so in between and then right above the blue line again for 2. 8 has 2 in between them and above the blue line. 9 has 4, so I'll go in between, right above, right below that blue line, and then right above it. And then the same thing for 10, in between, right above, right below the blue line, and right above that one. So that your dots kind of match up with height-wise where they're going. And the questions that they're asking are mean, median, mode, range, and I'm gonna add interquartile range as well. So we need a space here. We're gonna use this line right here to figure out how many dots we have. So first off, we have a 0, and then I'm gonna put comma, and then we have a 1. Then we have 1 on 2. There's 2 of them on 5, so I need to do 5, 5 when I'm listing the numbers, and I'm listing them least to greatest on purpose. And then I've got 2 on 7. 2 on 8, and then I've got 4 on 9, so I've got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I've got 4 on 10. And so that lists all my numbers. I can count my dots: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and make sure that I have that many numbers there to represent my dots. So these numbers that are in black are representing the dots up there on the dot plot. The question they want to know is, what is the mean? They want to know median, mode. I'm going to add range. What's the range? And IQR, interquartile range. Those are the questions I want to know. Some of them I think are a little easier by just looking at it. Mode, which one occurs the most? I think that's an easy one to 9 and 10 they're tied for occurring the most. They both occur 4 times. We're 4 kids. Let's see, no, total number of zoo visits. Yeah, 4 kids have visited the zoo 9 times and 4 kids have visited the zoo 10 times. The median, you've got to find the middle, and so I don't know if it's easier to be like 1, 2, 3 on this side, 1, 2, 3 on this side, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then you get down here where 8 and 9, so then 8 is your median. We call this quartile 2. We also refer to this as the median. So the median is 8. which is important. Another one I think that's kind of easy to solve is range. Their numbers range from 10 to 0, so 10 minus 0 is 10 for the range. Interquartile range, you got to break them into lower and upper quartiles. Mean, you've got to add all these numbers up and then divide by, what did we say, 17 numbers. So you've got to do on your calculator 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 7 plus 8 plus 8 plus 9 plus 9. So it may be easier to even, instead of trying to add all these numbers and plug in 17 numbers, maybe combine them together, and you can add your 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus, and then since there's 2 5s, maybe do 10. Since there's 2 7s, maybe do 14. Plus, let's see, there was 2 8s, so you could do 16. Plus, let's see, 4 9s would be what, 36. Plus, there was 4 10s, so then you could do 40. And then you get 119, and you have to divide 119. Let me write this in over here. For a mean, when you add them all up, you get 119, and then you divide by the 17 numbers. And so divide that by 17, and then you get 7 for your answer. And so that equals 7 for the mean. Median was 8, mode was 9 and 10, so we've got some different answers for those. And then in order to find our interquartile range, remember you have to find Q3 and subtract Q1. So you can't find Q3 and Q1 yet until you find Q2, which we already did the median. If you remember with the median, we kind of cover up the top numbers. I'm going to put my marker here covering up the top numbers. If we cover up the top numbers here, then we have to split the bottom numbers in half and find the middle over here. And so I've got 2 there, 2 there, 1. I've already done that one. 1. Oh, so we're right between the 2 5s. What's in the middle of the 2 5s? And that would just be 5. And that would be our label for Q1. All right, so Q1 is 5, quartile 1, or we also call that the lower quartile. Same thing for the top. To find quartile 3, we cover up the bottom, so cover up the 8 and anything below it. So we've got 1, 2, 3 on this side, 1, 2, 3. What's in between 9 and 10? And that's going to be 9.5 for quartile 3, or our upper quartile. So Q3 would be putting 9.5, and you need to subtract Q1, which was 5, and that should give us 4.5 for interquartile range. How do I get 9.5 here? Some people were wondering what's in between 9 and 10, 9.5. You can also add 9 plus 10 together, which is 19, and then divide by 2 to figure out what's in the middle of them. So that's part of our notes today. The other part of our notes, we're going to talk about central tendency. We did this a little bit on the other paper that we glued in our notes. We're going to talk more about central tendency.